Hi, I'm Kai, and in this video we will have a look on how we can create a macro project in EPLAN. When you want to work with macros, it makes sense to have your own macro project. Within this macro project, you can manage and create your macros more efficiently. So stay tuned. To create a macro project, start exactly on the same way like when you want to create a new schematic project. So we go to File and then to New. And here on the project name, we can enter our project name, for example, my macros. You can select the storage location, the basic project, and the specify creation date and the specify creator. So here we click OK and EPLAN starts to create a project. But this is not a macro project in the moment. This is just a normal project. So I need to update my master data. I click on yes. And now it pops up this project property window where you can add all these properties. You can, for example, change here the project description, job number, and so on. And when we scroll a little bit down, we find the most important property for our macro project. Here is the property type of project. And as you can see, this is schematic project. And we want to change this by clicking on the drop-down button to a macro project. And then EPLAN creates out of this project a macro project. So you can imagine that there needs to be some difference between a macro project and a schematic project. But we need to have a look on some other properties as well. So we go to the tab Structure. And here, especially for the page structure, we need to focus on our structure. So we go to the More button. And as you can see, the structure here is in the moment functional designation and location designation. When you change here, you can get some prepared other schemes, but changes automatically here our structure. I just can recommend you that for the macro project, you activate all structures which are possible. So, and therefore we make a new scheme. So we click on the plus. And for example, name it as macro project. You can also insert a description. And then we go here to our structure and go to identifying for all our structure. That means later on we can insert a page and can use the full structure what we have selected now. Because when you start with your project macro, you need to think about how you want to manage your macros. And this is something I want to show you in the next step. So we click on Save and OK. Everything else we keep it as it is and click OK. So now we get automatically our title page here. This is something we don't need for our macro project, so we can also delete this. And now we want to insert our first new page. And here comes now the problem with our structure and how we want to manage our macros. So we make a right click and on New, go here on Full Page, and then you need to add the values for your structure. And as I told you already, you need to think about your structure and your management in your macro project. I give you a small example. You can, for example, structure your macros like this. So we go to functional assignment and say, for example, start with electrical. And then, for example, the manufacturer, like Siemens. And then we go to the devices. For example, we want to have PLCs or conductors or low voltage distribution devices whatever. I select here the PLC and then, for example, the type of PLC, for example, ET200SP or the S7-1500 or ET200 Pro, or you can also have here frequency converter and so on. For the document type, we can, for example, select the digital inputs, and on the user-defined structure, you can use, for example, the order number from the manufacturer. So I don't know exactly, keep it as it is, and click OK. And then you can add, for example, the schematic multi-line page and put on this page later on the macro for the main function of this device. When we click now Apply and OK, you can see that we have now here a structure in our macro project with our main function. And here we can add now our macro. This will be done in another video. So we can add a new page and can, for example, add the overview, so that we enter here PLC overview, and this relies to the device what we have selected here. So this is just one idea about how you can structure your macro project. I want to show you another example. EPLAN provides a so-called data standard macro project. And this macro project has a structure like you see it here. It starts with EDS, macro toolbox, electrical engineering, PLC, PLC box, overview, and here you have multi-line and single line. And under general, for example, you can have also some other stuff. And if you are wondering why you have here 2 times the functional assignment main identifier, this is because when we have a look on our page property, that they use equal EDS and then a dot between. This creates you this structure. So this is also another way how you can structure your macro project. So please think about how you can structure your macros and start with a macro project. But as you know, in EPLAN there are also some settings for everything. So we will have a look on some special settings for our macro project. So we go back to File and to Settings. And here under Project we select our project. I go to My Macro. And under Graphical Editing, you find the menu Representation in Macro Projects. And when you want to work with block properties or cross-reference properties, you need to select here the display mode. So you can select between Show Property Value or Show Property Names, or you can hide properties. Same for the cross-reference properties. So do you have any questions about how to create a macro project? Then please write me a comment. If you have some ideas what kind of macros you want to see maybe in the next video, please leave also a comment and please drop a like and don't forget to subscribe and push the notification.